Hi everyone, this is Srey. Thank you for tuning in. So just an overview, this video is going to be about a childhood experience that I've gone through, a traumatic experience that I want to teach how I've learned to accept and heal and process it and live with it today. But also I just want to note that I don't think the healing process is ever 100% done. I think it still is an ongoing thing. But it does get a little easier once you've at least accepted it and started to say that you can move on, allow yourself to move on. So quick story of what happened. When I was a child, I lived in Cambodia. I was born there. My parents came to America. My mom and dad came when I was like 2 or 3 before me to get citizenship, and I was left in the care of my grandmother, who took in her cousin's child because his mother passed. So he lived with us. So I was 3. This person was maybe, I want to say 10 to 15 max. I don't think they were like a full adult, but they weren't a child either, because they were left to take care of me and babysit me, and I was 3. So obviously they weren't close to my age. I don't exactly remember how old they were, but I remember what they looked like. So this person decided to take advantage of me. And it happened numerous times. It did. And I was 30 and I didn't understand what was happening to me, but I knew it was bad. I knew that it shouldn't have happened, and I knew that it wasn't good. And I think kids know when things are bad. We cry when we get hit. We don't know maybe what it's called. We don't know that we're getting hit or getting yelled at, but we feel it. We feel the energy. We feel that it's not supposed to happen for some reason. Luckily, this did end when I moved to America when I was 5. So, but if I didn't move, how long would that continued on for? I was an interesting child. I was really feisty. I was mouthy. I would say whatever I wanted to say whenever I wanted to say it. And I do remember saying to him, if you're going to keep doing this, I'm going to tell my grandmother. I threatened him. And he would be, he never really, I don't believe he threatened me, but he would say things like, no, please don't do that. Like, he begged me not to tell my grandmother. I don't know if that completely stopped it. I think it stopped it for a little bit, but then he would still try to do it. I don't know how, if this was a kid, I don't understand how he learned how to do this, but again, I don't remember, and it's kind of vague in my memory at this point. I'm 28. Okay, so the abuse happened a few times, between 3 and 4. I don't really know how many times, but I do know it happened numerous times for me to remember some of it. I'm sure my mind blocked it out somehow to cope. Now, I never told anybody. I thought it didn't happen to other people. I thought I was the only one. I was also the only child. I didn't have siblings until I was 12, and he was a baby when I was 12. So what can I really connect with a baby about? And I just never told anybody until I met a girl who shared a story with me that she's gone through it. And that was when I realized I'm not the only one. I'm not an alien. This didn't just happen to me, Srey, out of the entire world. I don't know why. Well, I know why, because I wasn't educated, right? And that's another topic. I do believe we should educate our children, because if this happens to our kids, they can report it and use the correct words and terminology. And people might argue with me to say that's not the type of conversation you should have with kids. That's not age appropriate. Well, it's not age appropriate that we were touched, right? At 3. That's not age appropriate, but it's not age appropriate for you to just talk about it so that I can communicate with you that what happened to me, and potentially tell a police officer or a teacher if I'm going to school what happened to me, if this is happening within our family members. And I do think this is something that should be in the school systems, because, again, people might argue with me and say, well, that's a job for their family, their parents. That's up to them to choose what their kids wants to know. Well, what if their parents are doing this to them? You ever think of that? I know this is a very uncomfortable topic, but it needs to be talked about, and it needs to be normalized, because this is a normal thing that happens every single day under our noses. So I get pretty upset if I hear that's not a topic to talk about with children. That's not age appropriate. Okay, well, is it age appropriate that they're going through this? And if they're going through this and they don't know how to communicate, how will you stop it? No one ever wants to believe that it'll happen to their kid until it happens to their kid. And those that have gone through it understand what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm not going to get into deep in that, but that is something I think is very important, because I could have communicated a lot sooner if I knew what it was, and I knew that it wasn't weird and I wasn't an alien, or if I was just educated about this, because I was never educated about this until someone that was a year or two older than me at 12 shared their story. So it took many years for me to even talk about it. And I don't even know if I even talked about it if she didn't talk about it. Anywho, sorry, I got a bit passionate. Yeah, so first person I told, and I started to talk about it, and I found out other kids went through it my age. I think I was in the 6th grade. A handful of kids said, me too, me too, me too. And I was the first one they told. I was the first one they confided in. And I was just like, what is going on? Why is this so common? Why? Like, that's not fair. It made me angry, it made me confused. I was a kid, I didn't understand, And then I told my parents about it. They didn't really believe me at first. They were like, are you sure that happened? Because you would have bled. And I do remember going to the bathroom as a child and telling my grandmother that, like, I bled when I peed. And she's like, oh, no, it must have been when you did number 2. And I was like, no, but they didn't believe me. Believe your kids, guys. Believe your kids. They don't really have a reason to lie. And again, also at that point, I could have blocked out a lot of what happened to me, but I still remember some stuff. But I could have blocked out the painful moments just to cope. Like, that's how the brain can work. I don't think my parents wanted to believe that something happened to their kid, because they have to accept that it happened to their kid. I think that was the problem. And I think that that stops the ability for the kid to heal in a lot of situations, in a lot of households, which is sad. Anyways, they ended up believing me. But I didn't really learn to heal until I was maybe 16 or 17, when I started to Google it. So I didn't have therapy. I didn't go through therapy. My parents didn't really believe in therapy. They thought it was when you are, sent to an insane asylum and you're mentally shattered is when you should be going to therapy, not just for this stuff, I guess. I don't know. I didn't have access to therapy, basically. I had a little bit of school counseling around the time, but I don't think I was ready for it. But I wanted to heal. I wanted to cope. I wanted to, just not let it haunt me for forever. I Googled psychology articles. I Googled, the different steps of healing. I kind of forget, like, what are the steps, but it was like acceptance, or I don't know, going through the different anger and depression and things like that. And I was like, okay, so I need to accept this happened. And at that point, I did accept that it happened. I knew it happened to me. I was very aware, self-aware that it happened. I remember vividly. I still do. And learning how to forgive. Forgiving is hard, especially when you're 17 and 18, and I didn't really have anyone to really talk to about it. And I didn't understand forgiveness. I did not understand what forgiveness really meant. I didn't understand how you can forgive someone that did that to you. Side note, I don't believe you have to forgive them, but I wanted to heal, and this is what was advised to me. My rationale of trying to forgive. So I Googled different things about what would cause someone to commit the crime as an adult to a child. Like, what would drive someone to do that? Let's start out with some of the spiritual things that I looked up. Now, whether you believe in spirituality or not, hear me out. I will give you a scientific reason as well, but I'll start with the spiritual. So the belief is that souls have ages. Just because you're 50, your soul could be a new baby. Just because you're 5, your soul could be an older soul. You know, there's like young, like teenage, older, and then old, like really old. Whatever. It means you've reincarnated a lot. Whether you believe in it, in that, if you do, this might help you. The people that commit the crimes, such as what happened to me, and murders and things like that, maybe they have young souls, and maybe that's why they make the mistakes that they make. Because you can't expect a 4-year-old to do calculus, correct? So just like how you can't expect a young soul to know to not hurt others and that this is not okay, this shouldn't be done, same way. You know, easier said than done, but it helped me understand. Now, the scientific way, or the scientific reason why I've also discovered this is that it's in our nature to reproduce, because if we don't reproduce, we don't continue our population. If we don't continue our population, we'll be extinct. And you know, it's innate in us. It's in our animal instinct. And I don't believe we're fully developed. Like, we're not that advanced. I don't think we are. Sure, we have some cool technology, but our mental state and our societal state, how we treat others, and our culture as a whole, we're not that far. I don't think we're that advanced as we like to say we are. Therefore, some of that animal instinct might still come out, because it happens in other species. It happens with dolphins. It happens with other animals. So I'm like, we're not that different. Like, we're not. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying any of this is okay. It's not okay. But it kind of gives you into a perspective of why. You know, like, why would this person do this? They know they shouldn't do this. And also, a lot of times people that commit the crime, it also happened to them. They were taught that. Again, I'm not excusing this. I believe R. Kelly was abused too as a child. And just like his brother talked about what happened to him, they were around the same age. I'm not saying any of it is okay. I'm not saying that. I am saying that when you've never healed and things have been done to you, you associate it with the next thing that's connected to it. So the next sexual act, you might associate to how it was done to you for the first time. Just kind of like you remember the first time you ate a croissant. You were in France. So then when you eat another croissant, you're like, oh, I gotta eat it the way the French eat it. That's just an example. But for you to rewrite that is a lot of healing and forgiveness and going through your emotions. And if you don't do that, you might reenact it. Now, I am not a certified psychologist. I am nowhere near that and go to school for psychology. But this is what I've acquired for myself just through Google, honestly. And this is what helped me heal. Because I wanted to know, why did you do that to me? Why? I want to know why. So it brought me a little bit of peace to understand that maybe you're just not developed mentally, scientifically, biologically, spiritually. You're just not that grown. Just like how I wouldn't be upset that a 4-year-old cannot do calculus. Most 4-year-olds can. I know there's prodigies. Most of them can't. You must be not that developed in all of those avenues, or one of those avenues that exists, whatever your belief is in. So that helped me a bit. And some people are really born that way. I think it's a disease. I do. And again, this is all my opinion. This is all what I think. I'm not saying any of this is fact. Because I've watched documentaries on why they commit the crime. And it's just something that they notice that at 10, they're attracted to kids their age. And then at 12, they're attracted to 10-year-olds. And then at 15, they're attracted to 10-year-olds. And then at 18, they're attracted to still 10-year-olds. It never developed as they got older. I don't know what that is. I think the research should be done. I think that, I think it's a disease. I really do. But I don't know if there's any research really behind it. But I'm not saying it's okay. And I'm not going to really go into it being labeled as a disease or not. I know there's a whole debate behind that, and this is not what this video is about. We can debate about that in another video or comments, whatever, but I'm not here to debate about whether it's a disease or not. It's just my personal opinion. Disclaimer, personal opinion. Just want to make that very clear. I am not a scientist. I am not a psychologist. I am just someone who went through these tragedies just like you and other people in the world. And this is how I've learned to cope, because I didn't have access to therapy and I had to figure it out myself. I didn't really have anyone to talk to about it. Sorry, getting a little teary. But this is why I made this channel, because I know that we don't have someone to always confide in. And I'm sorry, that really hit a nerve. But if I can provide that, if I can provide you connecting with someone, that brings me joy, because I was the only child until I was 12. And again, what was I going to talk to my brother about? He was a baby. And my parents worked a lot. They worked a lot, so they weren't home. And I didn't have therapy. And I wasn't comfortable talking about this to my friends. I wasn't. I shared those little stories when I was 12 and I got it back, but I wasn't that comfortable talking about it. You know, I really wasn't. Anywho, okay. Teared a little bit. Excuse me. Yeah, so I know that we don't always have someone to talk to, and maybe hearing it from me might make some of us feel a little better, because I know that at 12, 17, when I was Googling this, I would have loved to watch a video about someone who went through something I went through and maybe hear how they are dealing with it, how they are going through it. Now, I'm not saying that I've 100% forgave him right there and then, because I didn't. I just understood some possible ways of how that person might have concluded to doing that, right? Okay, so after 17, 18, I kind of accepted it a little more. I kind of, you know, was like, yes, this happened to me. I'm comfortable talking about it, which is why I'm making a video. And it's something I do like to share, because I know that a lot of other people only share when they hear that story, that they've gone, like, you know, that someone they know that have gone through it too. And that's what happened to me when I was 12. So I want to be, the person's name was Cassandra. I think we called her Gata. So like, I want to be someone's Gata. I want to be the person that you confide in, because I know what it's like to think that you're the only one, even though you're not. You're really not. Unfortunately you're not. Like, good and bad, right? But I just want to say that it wasn't just all and done and I was healed and I was fine, right? It wasn't that. Like, I still think about it every now and then, but it doesn't hurt as much. I don't pour out crying. I don't get choked up as easily when I talk about it, because I've accepted it pretty much, and I've accepted that the positive side of this is I can share this story for those who have gone through it too, and they can feel a connection with me. That's kind of how I've learned to accept it as well. And, you know, give permission for yourself to feel it. Don't believe that once you heal, you'll never cry about it again, or never think about it again, or never feel a little sad about it again. It's just that it'll feel a little easier as you think about it every now and then, as you know, when you get a little older, 10 decades, 20 decades, for whatever, later, it's just a little easier. Just like when you first, I don't know, when you're a kid, you got a scrape on your knee. When that first happened, it really, really hurts. A couple months later, you think about it, or maybe, you know, whatever, and it doesn't hurt as much when you think about it. Then when 5 years later, it doesn't hurt as much, but you still remember the pain, right? You still remember the pain and acknowledge that pain. And that's okay. But don't let it consume you. Don't let it stop you from taking a shower. Like, don't let it stop you from going to work and having a job, having friends, living life. Save time to cry about it. Save time to talk about it. Talk about it to yourself. Say it out loud. You don't have to sign up for therapy if you don't feel comfortable with it, because I feel like therapy only works if you want it to work. A therapist can only do so much. And if you prefer just to talk to a friend about it, if you prefer to just talk to yourself about it, that's okay too. It's your choice. There's no timeline of how to heal. There's no right way to do something. But this is just my personal experience of it, and how I dealt with it. And I hope that maybe that gave you some insight into it and bring you some comfort somehow. I don't know. Maybe just hearing my story might give you some comfort. I hope that does too. But like I said, allow yourself to feel sad. Even if it's at work, go to the bathroom real quick, a 5-minute, I understand if maybe you have a meeting or if you're in class doing a presentation, try to wait if you can. If you can't, excuse yourself and just take a breather and let yourself cry, feel the emotions, and then go back and save it for later. And I'm not saying that to not feel it out. I am saying to feel it out. I am. But I'm saying to also live your life along the way, because you deserve that. You deserve to live your life. This person that commit this crime on you doesn't deserve to have power over you all these years later. They ain't it. They're not worth it. I know it's easier said than done, but I am someone that's gone through it. I am someone that have experienced it too, and I believe in you. I believe in you. You don't need your friends to believe in you. You don't need your friends, your family to believe in you. As long as you believe in yourself, you can do it. Because I had myself. I didn't have a therapist. I still will sign up for therapy. I'm not against therapy, FYI. I'm not against it. But yeah, I'm okay today. I'm okay. And I'm okay with what happened. And I am at peace as much as I can be. As much as we can be at peace with something so tragic. So I really, really hope that take it little by little. Remember what happened if you don't, and then start to accept it, and then rationalize it however you need to. Just believe that this person was not developed. I just don't believe in whichever way, right? Scientifically, spiritually, whichever. They're not okay. Hurt people, and they were hurt some type of way, or they're just something's wrong with them. I think that if you're going to do that to someone, something's wrong with you. And it's your job to heal. It's not our fault that this happened to us. It's not. But it's our responsibility to heal now. Again, we didn't ask for this to happen. Of course not. But life happens. Bad things happen. And it's up to us to make, obviously, the best that we can. And again, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. You're going to cry. You're going to feel it. It's going to come out randomly. It's normal. You're human. That's the experience that we're going through right now. But tell yourself it's going to be okay. And if it's not okay right now, it will be. Lie if you have to, but it will be. Keep saying it until you believe it. Yeah. I mean, share your stories if you want to in the comments. I hope that you felt connected with me, and I hope that I provided some type of comfort, a friend, for this experience. And again, this is my Me Too story. Always wanted to share it, and I'm finally sharing it at 28, and I'm doing this digitally, and I'm excited and I'm hopeful. So you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm no better than you. Believe me on that. Thank you for tuning in and watching me tear up a little. And I appreciate if you've made it to the end of this video to hear everything out. And I hope that you find love and healing throughout the way, because you deserve it.